Seated directly in the centre of the museum sits a stunning green and red engine. It is a part of a rare and sadly growing group of engines that are becoming the last of their kind, the SECR Class D. Commonly known as copper tops, this engine was designed for the South Eastern and Chatham Railway by legendary engineer Harry Wainwright. Harry was born in 1864 and followed in his father's footsteps as an engineer, and at the age of 14, he was sent to the Midland Railway's carriage and wagon shops as an apprentice to be a fitter. Harry's father, William, was the carriage superintendent for the South Eastern Railway, and after his apprenticeship was completed, he joined his father in the various workshops. But Harry wanted to branch away from carriage and wagon, and the opportunity came when Harry Whiteleg of the London, Tilbury and Southend Railway was looking for a young trainee in the locomotive department as a draftsman. Harry fit the bill perfectly, and it gave him the opportunity to refine and produce engine designs for himself. The additional training helped him back to the South Eastern Railway and put him in perfect place to succeed his father as carriage superintendent. In 1899, following a merger of the SER and the London, Chatham and Dover Railway and several retirements of key personnel, there was a new opening for locomotive superintendent. But the South Eastern Railway decided to merge the positions with Harry. Harry was appointed as overall superintendent. The task of merging the two railway departments was a monumental one, but Harry had all the technical skills and know-how, and his training had proved he could handle both departments together. The move and the merger of the two railways was not popular with the general public, and the rumours of the works at Ashford being expanded, with the closure of the smaller Longhenge works and the cards, made the public go from upset to pretty angry. After completing several orders, Harry wanted to complete his own designs and started drawing several new engines. One engine was the Class D. Harry wanted this to be an express engine that would appeal to the public and create a favourable impression of what he was trying to achieve. The Class D, as well as function, is probably one of the most striking engines ever built. It is covered in brass fittings and decorations, even down to the beading on the splashers. The dome is also plated, earning the engine the affectionate nickname, the Copper Top. The running board and underframes were painted in a deep crimson with a gold pin striping, and it complements the emerald green boiler and cab well, and all along emblazoned on the splashers were the new emblems of the combined railways. Inside, the twin inside cylinders measured an impressive 19-inch by 25 inches, but unusually for express engines, they carried no superheaters. But the boiler could hold around 175 pounds per square inch, and its twin, nearly 7-foot driving wheels gave it a good power advantage. Sadly, the bright livery was muted in 1914 during the war, but it did succeed in winning some of the disgruntled passengers over. 50 of the Class Ds were pulled out of Ashford Works, but the engines were barely warm before they were brought back in for an upgrade. 20 would receive long travel piston valves, superheaters, and finally a brand new Belpaire firebox. The long travel valves allowed for greater power transfer while improving fuel efficiency. The valves were made so that only a small amount of steam would be allowed to enter them. The steam was allowed to expand, and the valve would reopen on the return stroke and send the expanded steam to the exhaust at a much lowered pressure. As it needed much less steam, it was much more economical. The new fireboxes gave 20% more surface heat in area and were much stronger than their earlier counterparts. The engines set to work on passenger express runs, but the D-Class were generally relegated to ferrying passengers to the docks, while the D1 classes worked on the London and East Kent services. By the time British Rail had taken over, they inherited several of these engines, but the Chatham electrification scheme spelt pretty much the end for the D1 classes, and all were scrapped by the early 60s. Harry Wainwright's D-Class masterpieces were created at the height of his career, but shortly after the creation of the D-Class, his star began to fail. The move of the locomotive works to Ashford had not been smooth, and the closure of Longhenge led to a massive shortage of repair facilities across the whole company. As each engine broke or needed servicing, there was nothing to replace or repair it, and the railway faced an engine crisis. Harry also came under fire for his lack of care and supervision. After an incident where 2 boilers had gone missing under Harry's nose, he was brought to the board to either explain himself or hand in his resignation. Otherwise, the matter would be openly investigated and his reputation be destroyed. His personal life took a nosedive too. His wife, who had a taste for the finer things in life, decided she did not want to live married to a failing engineer and left him in 1911 for a millionaire. This broke Harry. His heart, which had not been in the best of health, began to fail. When the board heard of this, the chairman of the railway approached him, not with harsh words or threats, but with a kind offer to take up a permanent leave on the grounds of ill health. The past would be forgiven, and nothing would be spoken further but praise. Harry accepted this and retired with good grace. Harry passed away in 1925, with his engines working proud on the line. The D-Class worked right up until the very end of steam, and in a nod to the creator, one was kept and preserved. It was restored back to its original colours and beautiful brass and copper fittings, and is one of the first exhibits in the National Railway Museum. The engine will sadly never run again, but is still available to see and enjoy. Each engine in the museum has its own beauty and charm, whether it's its streamlining or its contours. But it's safe to say that the engine with the most bling is definitely the D-Class.